Recently, the leaders of the SCO gathered for an online summit hosted by India. What is SCO? SCO stands for Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It is a political and security group that seeks to counter Western influence in Eurasia. It was formed in 2001 by China and Russia, with 4 former Soviet Central Asian states as members: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. In 2017, India and Pakistan joined the SCO, and in this summit, Iran has become the 9th SCO member. SCO aims to enhance its reach by incorporating Iran and providing a potential pathway for Belarus to become a member. Once both countries are admitted to the SCO, it will extend the group's presence in both Europe and Asia, strengthening its position in the Western region. The SCO has its headquarters in Beijing, China. But then why is it called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization? Why the name Shanghai? Well, because SCO is a successor of the Shanghai 5 group. This group was created in 1996 when a treaty was signed in the Shanghai city of China. SCO retained the word Shanghai of its predecessor.
Now, do remember that out of the 5 Central Asian states, only 4 are the members of the SCO: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Turkmenistan, despite being a former Soviet Central Asian country, is not a member of the SCO. Why? The reason is that Turkmenistan follows the concept of positive neutrality in its foreign policy. It strongly upholds the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other nations. And it chooses not to align itself with any military alliances, groups, or other international obligations. By the way, India hosted the SCO summit for the first time since it currently holds the chairmanship of the SCO's Council of Heads of State. Now, let us examine key points from the summit.
The SCO's decision to admit Iran as its 9th member was one of several agreements reached during the summit. The signed agreements include the New Delhi Declaration, which highlights areas of collaboration among SCO nations. It enumerated various global challenges, such as the emergence of new conflicts, market volatility, instability in supply chains, climate change, and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Then there were joint statements addressing the issue of radicalization and focusing on digital transformation. India offered to share expertise in digital payment interfaces like UPI. In response to sanctions imposed on Russia and Iran by the United States and European countries, SCO members collectively criticized non-UN sanctions, as these sanctions are contradictory to international law and adversely affect other nations. The formation of a more inclusive and multipolar global order is beneficial to the international community. SCO members also agreed to explore the use of national currencies for intra-group payments, thus bypassing dollar-based international transactions.
India perceives the SCO not merely as an extended neighborhood, but rather as an extended family. In India's vision for the SCO, the pillars revolve around security, economic development, connectivity, unity, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as environmental protection. These elements form the foundation of India's perspective on the SCO. In line with it, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed concerns about certain countries employing cross-border terrorism as a tool for their political agenda and providing shelter to terrorists. China has consistently obstructed India's efforts to designate terrorists at the UN Security Council. And it is well known that terrorist groups exist in Pakistan and receive support from within.
Pakistan's Prime Minister, who was present at the summit, responded to India's veiled reference at it by emphasizing that terrorism should not be used as a means of scoring diplomatic points. He advocated for condemning terrorism in all its forms, including state terrorism, without selectively highlighting incidents for narrow political gains. Mr. Sharif also stressed the importance of not demonizing religious minorities for domestic political purposes. Anyway, Prime Minister Modi urged the SCO countries to criticize nations involved in terrorism. He called for a unified condemnation of such acts, highlighting the importance of avoiding double standards on the issue. See, terrorism is a threat to regional and global peace, and we need to combat it. Further, India also conveyed its apprehension regarding the state of affairs in Afghanistan, as the developments in Afghanistan will directly affect the security of all member nations. It is crucial to prevent the utilization of Afghan territory for destabilizing neighboring countries or propagating extremist ideologies. It is imperative that collective endeavors be made to ensure the well-being of the Afghan people.
On the occasion of the 10-year anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese President Xi Jinping highlighted his global security initiative. He emphasized the importance of promoting political resolutions for international and regional conflicts, as they can help to establish a strong security framework within the region. President Xi urged SCO members to maintain independent foreign policies and remain cautious about external efforts to instigate a new Cold War or divisive confrontations in the region. In the past, Chinese officials have assigned the responsibility for such actions to the United States, accusing it of interference and possessing a mentality reminiscent of the Cold War.
There was indirect criticism from the Indian side aimed at China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. Prime Minister Modi subtly remarked that while connectivity projects are important, it is equally crucial to uphold the sovereignty and regional integrity of other nations. Undoubtedly, robust connectivity plays a significant role in promoting progress within a region, enhancing mutual trade and fostering trust. However, it is essential to adhere to the fundamental principles outlined in the SCO Charter, particularly in terms of respecting the sovereignty and regional integrity of member states. We know that India has strongly objected to the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC, which is a part of the Belt and Road Initiative or BRI, because it passes through the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir region. Consequently, India declined to align with other SCO members in endorsing the sections pertaining to China's Belt and Road Initiative within the joint statement. And it chose not to participate in a joint statement regarding the SCO Economic Development Strategy 2030.
In 2022, the member nations of Shanghai Cooperation Organization reached an agreement to enhance the utilization of their respective national currencies in bilateral trade. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it faced severe economic sanctions imposed by Western countries. These sanctions led to a reduction in trade with most countries. In response, Russia adopted a strategy of de-dollarization. It took measures for expanding the use of its national currency, ruble, and promoting mutual settlements with its trading partners abroad. So much so that the majority of commercial transactions between Russia and China are now conducted using the ruble and yuan. President Putin also said that external forces fueled anti-Russian sentiments and supplied weapons to Ukraine. He expressed Russia's resolute resistance to external pressures, sanctions, and provocations.
In the aftermath of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the strict sanctions imposed on Russia, significant geopolitical actors are seeking to reduce their dependence on the US dollar and the US-dominated global banking systems. Russia's efforts to establish an alternative global banking system have gained momentum following the invasion of Ukraine. As a result of Russia's economic isolation and China's competition with the US, both countries have moved away from the dollar and have entered into agreements to utilize their national currencies. President Putin stated that Russia has entirely abandoned the US dollar and is now conducting transactions with China using the ruble and yuan. Moreover, Russia is encouraging other SCO member nations to settle their payments using these two currencies. Russia remains committed to strengthening its ties with SCO member states, and these bonds are continuously growing stronger. Trade between Russia and SCO countries demonstrated significant growth in the past year.
Reports have emerged about Russia and Iran collaborating on the development of a gold-backed cryptocurrency to challenge the dominance of the US dollar in trade transactions. India and Brazil are also taking steps towards de-dollarization. In fact, Indian oil refiners have already started paying for certain oil imports from Russia using the Chinese yuan. The rise in yuan payments has further bolstered China's effort to promote the internationalization of its currency. This also suggests that India has not been successful in persuading Russia to accept Indian rupee for oil payments. However, India has been actively working to enhance the global acceptance of the rupee. The Indian rupee can be used for trade settlements with Malaysia, Russia, Mauritius, Iran and Sri Lanka in addition to existing modes of settlement in other currencies. Further, India needs to recognize the need to enhance its involvement in Central Asia as China is rapidly expanding its influence in the region through initiatives like the Belt and Road Project. Additionally, Russia remains committed to maintaining its own sway in this area. To address these challenges, India should prioritize investments in promoting connectivity and facilitating trade and investment in Central Asia.
India is currently holding the presidency of both the SCO and the G20 this year. It has faced a delicate diplomatic situation due to strained relations between Western nations and the Russia-China partnership. The tension stems from Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year and China's growing assertiveness in global geopolitics. During a summit in Uzbekistan last year, Prime Minister Modi conveyed to President Putin that the current era is not one of war. That was India's closest approach to directly addressing the issue with Russia. India has chosen not to assign blame to Russia for the war. It has significantly increased bilateral trade, primarily by substantially raising its purchases of Russian oil to a record level. This move has provoked dissatisfaction among several Western capitals. Anyway, the member countries of the SCO expressed their dedication to establishing a world order that is fair, democratic, and inclusive. This order should adhere to the universally accepted principles of international law and promote multilateralism. It emphasizes the importance of equal, cooperative, and indivisible security, as well as the preservation of cultural and civilizational diversity. The SCO members also emphasize the need for mutually beneficial and equal cooperation among nations. Let me conclude the session here. I hope you gained some insight on the recent gathering of heads of state at the SCO summit. Thank you for your time.